Hey guys, it's me, EODGamerZ here. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you exactly step by step my thought process on how I turn junk like this one over here into a godlike ring like this one here, how to minimize your cost and maximize your profit as well in this simple strategy. Now, this is not the only ring that I have. This strategy isn't just pure lucky. If you go onto our Discord, you will see over here that I have actually loaned out one Exile each for 200 plus divines worth of rings so far. A lot of our members on the channel already have it. You can just join our Discord if you're interested in any of these rings. I post very regularly depending on when I have. I have this one here that is even up for loan, available for anyone who wants it for like one Exalted, just to give back to the community as well, to support the people in the community. So in this video, if you don't want to loan whatever, doesn't really matter too much. But more importantly, how do I get so many godlike rings? Is there a secret how I lower my cost such that I'm lesser than other people available as well? Now, the most important thing that I want to share with you is you need to start off with a fracture. Whatever a fracture is, if you have no idea, check the videos out on our channel. Anything to do with fracturing, I teach you exactly. But you want to start off something like this. Either a tier 8 or tier 9 first line. The more you have, obviously the higher chance of you hitting. You might even hit something like this with a tier 9, tier 8 eventually. But I want to give you a huge disclaimer. This is a numbers game. In order for you to maximize your return, the biggest fallacy in this strategy is to go in with expectations. If you are going into crafting, wanting to come out something like this, you can be expected to pay a lot of money. The key and the biggest thing that you need to start off with is set your mentality right. I have zero expectations on this ring. All I'm looking for is 3 okay lines. Tier 8, tier 7, I'm okay. Tier 8, tier 7, tier 6, I'm fine. Once you have expectations, that's when your cost shoots up. And I will explain why, because it's very easy for me to say why is expectations the killer. I will show you step by step and I'll explain to you my thought process in a super easy to understand fashion. So the first thing that I will do here, you see 4 lines after you have fractured it. It looks very ugly. I want to increase my probability of success. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a greater annulment, orb of annulment over here. Because right now, orb of annulment costs us around 11 exalts. Greater annulment, which basically multiplies annulment by 2, is 7 exalts. So I save 4 exalts just by doing this. So everything that you do has to be calculated correctly. That's what we do on this channel. You are trying to shift the odds in your favor. So now we have something like this. This is perfect. This is how we want to start. Ideally, everything should look like this. I do not care what's the second line. And I'm going to start my spree. This is the part where it gets a bit intensive in terms of hoping for something good to happen. What I'm doing here is you are just looking for a second line that is good. So what do I mean by good is I'm looking for a flat line like this one here, which is ideally tier 8 or tier 9. So this one was quite fast. This is a tier 9. I memorized the tiers based on my judgment already. I can like gut feel what the number is after crafting so many. So this video, of course, is not scripted. I didn't like take many. You guys can see whenever I have a good ring, I post it up as well. More importantly, you can see that this strategy, this one was a bit fast. This one was like, how many was that? 20? I will tell you honestly, it's not that quick. On average, to get a tier 8, tier 9 second line would take you about 74 attempts. On average, if you don't care whether it's cold, fire, lightning, or physical, on average, you will take about 74 to 100 chaos to get a perfect second line. But we are not done yet. Getting these two is actually very easy. And I'm going to be showing you, I'm going to be doing something that is very, very unorthodox. I don't even know what's the third line, but I would know more often than not it will not appear, and I will intentionally show you my strategy. You guys will be quite surprised that it is, but in actual fact, the math works out and it's a much more efficient method. So what I'm going to be doing now is because you are looking for that last prefix line. In this current meta, what is driving the price of these rings is the prefix lines instead of the suffix lines, because attribute stacking is not as good. People are looking for like dex intelligence and all attributes much less in this league. So that's why your top 3 are the most important ones. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be buying an Omen of Dextro Exaltation over here. I'm just going to hit the market at 1:4, even though it's more efficient to buy in bulk and save 0.25. But I only need 1 right now, so I'll just take the 0.25 Exalt L. What I'm doing here is I just want to open the line, and this is where it gets really random. Remember, I told you it's about 74 chaos attempts to get one tier 8 or tier 9 line. Over here, it becomes much less. So I need, on average, I need to try this attempt this stage where I open an Sinistra Exaltation as well as an Exalted Orb, I need to try it on this ring approximately about 100 plus times, which is a very low chance. So if you have expectations, you want the next line to be 8 or 9, likely it's going to be very difficult. So I lower my expectations. Let's just see what I get. So this is more often than not what happens when you do this strategy. And a lot of you will be encountering this. This is a common mistake. Now, there can be two ways to do this, and I will tell you the more efficient method. I like how it turned out junk rather than like getting completely lucky, because then I can show you the truth of what happens. The more realistic approach is you will check the lines, tier 9 physical, tier 7 evasion rating, which is higher tier, and then you will try to find the last line. And this is a massive bait. If you take an Omen of Whittling here, trying to complete this last line, let's say I had a tier 9, this is a trap. Because it will cost you, especially if you're a you have a small saving stash, 100 divines to me is still quite small. This is only a portion of the investment that I have. To me, I wouldn't be even trying to like Omen of Whittling this last line, because this is a tier 8 line and a tier 9 line, which is in actual fact not very difficult to get the second line tier 9 compared to the amount of divines I have to spend just rolling this last line, trying to find that nice last line. So doing this and whacking, even though, okay, let's just say evasion was the lowest and I remove the evasion, is a mistake. Sometimes you get a high roll evasion like that and you're stuck straight away because high roll evasion is higher than a max roll in your flats most of the time. So how I will do this right now is I will not be touching my Omen of Whittling. I won't even like try to attempt to adjust this. Even though the Omen of Whittling can have a problem, you can check it on Craft on Excel, the different eye levels and stuff. I'm going to do something that might be unintuitive to a lot of you, especially if you don't craft in bulk. What I'll do is I will chaos this, and even if the physical line goes away, I do not care. So I'll smack here with a chaos, and 50-50 chance I won the 50-50. It came out to be lightning damage 20%. So at this point over here, you need to ask yourself, are you satisfied with lightning damage 20%? And most of the time, at the stage of where we are right now, I would say I'm okay. Because what did I spend? I spent practically nothing on this ring. I just slapped on a fracture. I got a tier 8 fracture. I got the physical early as well. And I got a lightning damage very, very quickly. So the thought process, more or less there, I will be more or less happy with this ring. So I would go ahead, take 3 exalts, I'll slam it in and see what happens. So I have a 20% lightning damage, 13 dex, 28 lightning resistance, gain 27 mana. This one probably will be ready to sell, but normally that's what I'll do. But in this video, I want to show you a bit extra. I want to show you what happens if I wanted to change everything again and how I'll actually do it. Let's say this wasn't lightning damage. I'm too lazy to go and find another item now in this video, so I'll just use the same item. Let's just say this wasn't lightning damage. What is my thought process? If let's say I roll a line that is not lightning damage, I will take a risk. I will come in to Orb of Annulments here. Ideally, you don't want to remove all of the Orb of Annulments. You don't want to open everything because then you have to spend a lot trying to like close up everything. So just for the sake of this video, I'll show you. I'm going to buy some Orb of Annulments. I'm going to buy some Greater Annulments over here. And let's say I'm not satisfied with this lightning damage. The third prefix was really not what I was looking for. What I'll do here is I will take Orb of Annulment, Greater Annulment, and ideally I'm hoping to remove anything but the physical. So I slap in, the important one goes away, but it's fine for me. I'll buy 2 of this just to save 1 exalt. So I'll take this and I'll slap it in and we restart the process. So this is a very important thing that a lot of you might not be used to. Once you see that tier 9 physical, a lot of you get too attached to the line. And the tactic actually is to have 0 emotional attachment to the line until you see the third line. That is the most important part, and it's very difficult to do until you get practice. So what I'm looking for is a tier 8, tier 9, sometimes tier 7 I'm okay. If I'm feeling the mood for it as well, I will look for something like a tier 7 line, and then I'll open the next line just to check what it is. And by doing this, you actually increase your chance of profit by a lot. So let's just say I take like, I smack 10 divines, I buy 100 plus chaos over here, and then I'll keep rolling. So it's quite tough sometimes to find. Lightning damage, tier 6, this is a max roll lightning damage, but because I start off with fire, I don't really like this too much. But I don't mind just checking, since it costs very little to just check the next line. Maybe you get lucky and get like a max roll lightning damage, who knows. So I would go ahead and I'll buy Omen of Sinistral Exaltation. This one is a must because you don't want to roll your prefix. This will save you more money because immediately you can see what is your next line. And I don't really like this too much. And I chaos here, both lines are going to go away in the prefix here. Or you could just like annul it. Lightning damage around. I get a restart. I can check the next line. So it gives accuracy rating, which is not a high roll. It's like a tier, third highest tier. So I don't really like it already. So I'll just go ahead and smack a chaos. And I do need another annulment. And this process just keeps continuing. So you will keep checking and increasing your odds by doing this method over here. So let me just buy some Exiles. Ideally, you want to have somewhere between 20 divines to start doing this process. If any of you find that you do not have enough divines yet, this is very good information for you to just like take note of. But if you're looking to grow your stack, check out our channel. We have videos on the channel helping you get your first 100 divines or so that you can start deploying this strategy. This makes a lot of money right now. Normally, fire damage, I would have kept it, but I don't think it will sell too well. Tier 8, Tier 6. On days that I feel like my luck is really, really bad, I will check the next line. But Tier 6 is not very difficult to get, so I won't care with that. So I will just keep rolling. You have to be like desensitized to the amount of money that you're spending. So something like this, a Tier 7 line, I don't mind checking as well, because if it's a Tier 8, Tier 7, Tier 8, it still can be worth quite a lot of money. So then we go back into this. We buy Omen of Greater Exaltations. And yeah, let's buy... Can I buy 11? No, okay, no. 4. How much is this? 16, 15, right? About there. Does it? Okay, at least I save myself one Exalt here, since I'm going to be doing this for a while. So I open the Sinistral Exaltation again. I check the next line. It rolls Evasion. It's dead to me, so I Chaos. Thankfully, mana is gone, but it didn't roll anything good. So I Chaos again. Now, unfortunately, the physical line is gone, but we keep going. So we keep going so far. And I'll remove this. Let me just move this to one side before I accidentally do something to that really completed ring. So Tier 6, don't really like that too much. Then we'll keep going. Yeah, so we are just looking for any other line. In another league, of course, different lines will be different. So it really depends on the league. And I will keep you guys updated every single league on like the most efficient strategy. But the thought process behind this won't change. And this thought process wasn't around in the first league because there was no fracturing involved. So this is a totally new strategy, and every league will have a new meta. And don't worry, I'll share with you guys on the channel every time. So it takes a bit of money. You can see that I spend like 10 divines more on Chaos Ops. And on average, you need 74 to 100 to hit. So lightning damage, not the max, I don't care because it's quite tough to find that max roll lightning in the last one. So just keep whacking. Let's try. So yeah, it's quite tough to find a Tier 8, Tier 9. So we had an early one, but the luck was fading a little bit. I mean, fire damage, because it's a fire first line, but the first line is not even very high. So how hard I will go to find the second line also determines how high the first line is. Because my first line is just a Tier 8, I'm already starting off with not the best. So I'm generally quite relaxed in what the second one is that I'm getting. If I had something like this where I start off Tier 9, I'll be quite stringent. So you can see like the tactic that I use to get this is fire Tier 9, and then I look for the Tier 8, and I'll do the exact same method. And once I open like T8, T9, T8, T8, you celebrate. But of course thereafter, you can just open the rest of the lines. Tier 5. So I'm just generally trying to look for a Tier 7 at least. Because it sells better that way. Everything else, not that nice. Because the easiest one to find is the second line. The third line is the much harder. So this is a double max roll. So I have kind of like no choice. I want to check. Because it's a max roll. It's a max roll of the max tier. And it rolls live. It rolls live again. Live again. Fire Rest. I mean, Fire Rest is okay. Rarity. I don't really like the rarity too much here. Rolls Rarity again. Rarity again? Wait, what? Okay. I mean, it's a rarity in the suffix. Shit. I didn't even realize that it moved to the suffix. Okay, anyway, there's not much loss there. So I'll buy more of these exaltations. And this is what I mean. Like if you find some good lines, you keep doing this process so that I know my bottom two is now decent. I open this, I check the last line. Now it turns out the mana. I whack, and now my lightning is gone. So I end roll strength. So I would try one more and hope that it's the mana. Yeah, now it's pretty much dead. So then just be very brave. Now you restart the process again. So this is how I craft. So one here, let's buy one more. And then we resume the process of rolling. So I showed you an example of getting lucky early and having a really nice one, and it still might not complete. And then I'm now showing you the process of maybe being slightly below average in luck and what it looks like as well. So it's a good accurate representation rather than like just showing you guys on-screen luck, right? Because in reality, everything averages out. So once I get something like this, tier 8, tier 7, I open the next one, it gets cold. I don't really like that. So I hit it with chaos, and it went into the suffix, so I can check another line. With evasion, I try again. It went live. I'm looking for flats. So now it went into the suffix again. So it looks quite promising here. It gives me mana. Still mana. So as long as the lightning doesn't disappear, I don't have to restart. Now it goes into the suffix. So I open again another prefix. And yeah, it's super bad luck, you can see. But more often than not, you're going to get something like this. So tons of mana. Now the lightning goes away. So you restart again. And you just keep doing this process of bouncing around. So I'm just going to pick up 3. I would need 2 more of this. So it is quite a lot of currency, but this is how the most efficient way actually to craft triple line flats, which not many people might know. That's how also I keep my log cost low. So immediately once you know like how much it takes to get a nice line, you kind of know how much it costs. So if you see anything that's undervalued on the market, you can just buy it out straight. If you see like a nice fractured line or whatever. So now we restarted here and we go again. So I don't care. Even like I saw like a max line elemental resistance, max line intelligence, none of that I care because those don't affect me too much. I still have to try to find that triple flat line. So I keep going. And our 10 divine stack is already running out. And this is like an example of really bad luck. On average, I should have gotten that line long ago. Oh, there's a 408 accuracy. I clicked too fast, but because it's a fire damage, if it was a lightning damage and physical damage, tier 9 first line, I'll be checking a bit more carefully. But accuracy and fire doesn't have too much economic value. So I'm really looking for the flat stats. Because accuracy is also really good, so you don't want to get rid of accuracy, especially if your first line started out with physical, high lightning. You don't want to do that. So this is a tier 4. Sir. Yeah, it's really quite painful, especially if you have like a smaller stash. So the physical line, you can see it came out again. So it's not too hard to actually get that second line. So a tier 9 is actually not very difficult to get. So it's a bit most of the time. That's why I was like mentioning to some of you guys on Discord. Double tier 9 is a bit, not really the best. And this is the reason why. So I'm going to just buy out more of this. And we have our next attempt. Hopefully it's done. So same thing, tier 8, tier 9, I will look for an Omen of Sinistral Exaltation to check. Now it rolls accuracy, and here's where you would actually think. It's actually a okay-ish lines. It's not super max tier. Amazon probably can use this, although they prefer lightning damage. The question is, do you want to take the risk? If your stash is small, you don't have too much savings, and you rely on this to sell in order to make money, you will unlock everything else. But because I already have quite a lot of savings, I've generated a lot of these rings, I know that this one might not have too much economic value, and I'm too lazy to go and like fracture again. It costs us a lot to like find the fractured line. So I will actually take a gamble. I will chaos this. And thankfully it rolled into rarity, a max roll rarity, max roll physical. But if you guys have a smaller stash, I would highly recommend you just take it and then like, try to sell it, because that was a decent one. Especially if your third line is a decent line. The third line is very hard to find a good one. So like evasion here is very unfortunate because now I have a very low chance of hitting the one that I'm looking for. At this point, some people might use Omen of Whittling and hit, but again, it is bugged. It will hit evasion rating. But the biggest question is, it will take very long to find that evasion line, to find that third flat line. And if on average you're taking 100 rolls, means you're spending 100 Omen of Whittling trying to find a tier 9, tier 8 third line, which is very, very expensive. So this is a trap. The best thing that you can do right now is honestly just chaos it. And thankfully, Gamble does pay off. You have a 33%. That was a 33% chance of success. I 33% chanced it. It rolled away. And I believe this is a max roll all attributes also. That's like pretty crazy. So now I'm actually thinking, now that you have like a triple max roll, that's when it starts to get a bit trickier. Is it max roll? I don't know. 19 is max roll, right? I can't exactly remember, but it's not too important. All attributes is not a determining part. So okay, now is the tough part, because it's synergetic now, and there are some fire builds going around. So this is where I will actually determine that it's stopped, because you have a fire, you have all attributes that's quite decent as well, and a max roll rarity, max roll physical. So this is a case where I would say it's done. So it's not the best. The core resistance is like really low. It's not the best ring out of all of them. It is currently like a tier 9 physical, tier 5 rarity, decent all attributes, and fire damage, which is not the highest, but it's like, I think it's like third highest, which is okay. And at this point, we have already put in like almost 14 divines plus on this ring. I don't think this will fetch 14 divines off the top of my mind, but as you keep doing it, your average luck will eventually even out, and you realize that the thing that determines how much money you make is what line you start off with. That's why what line you start off with is very, very important in this process. Right now, I can just show you, for example, my next thought process is, first of all, I will go into the trade site over here. Let me just pull up a trade site real quick, and then I'll show you what am I looking for on the website. So let me just open the thing over here. So right now, let's say I am looking for how much this ring is worth. So I will look for something like this: rarity and all attributes. Maybe not all attributes. Look for the prefix, because those are the ones that determine the value. So prefix, let's say you put 20, and rarity, I don't care. You want it to be filtered for breach rings. And I'll click search. Then you will see estimatedly what's the price. So this combination is quite rare. No one seems to have this yet. But maybe we need to remove this. So now we can find a fire damage line. So this is like something that we have, right? We have a tier 9 physical, tier 8 fire, and a tier 4 fire damage. So this is like close to what we have. So we put in about 15 divines. Currently the lowest is going for around 19, 20 divines. Listed 19 hours, 25 hours ago. So it might take some time to sell, which is normal. But at least we know that even though our luck was below average, we are actually making a little bit of money based on what we are seeing here in terms of the different roles too. So starting off well is really very important. So next, of course, I want to see whether I can extract a bit more value in this ring, so now that we know that we are slightly ahead, I will remind myself, all attributes, okay, so all attributes is a max roll, is a 13 roll. So I have a 3-line max already and a tier 8 fire. So the only thing left that I can potentially change is the core resistance, that is a level 1 line. So I have all attributes here plus 13. So if I Omen of Whittling, it will hit core resistance over here. And to me, because I already have quite a lot of resources, I have crafted this many times. To me, this gamble is worth it. So my thought process here is, if you have a big stash of savings, you already earn a lot, you have a good income generation through trade already, and you are very, very late game, then you can take a bit more risk. But for most of you, I think like, especially if you're like early, mid game, you don't have 100 divines to spare, this is like, you can sell this already. But right now, I want to extract a bit more value, I want to take a bit more risk as well. So I see the top lines are almost done. I have max roll attributes, max roll rarity, max roll physical, and fire is the second highest roll. Fire damage is the third highest roll. Core resistance is 1. So ideally, I want this to go up. 7 is like really, really pathetic. It's basically a non-exister. It doesn't really exist. So I'm going to take an Omen of Whittling. It's about 3 divines, which is approximately 48 chaos, which is barely anything. So I will go ahead and omen this. Now, right now in 0.2, there is a visual bug where if you fracture an item, it doesn't show you which one is Omen of Whittling correctly. So I'll smack this. You can see that now 7 core resistance disappears and we get a 41% mana regeneration. One important thing to know is because all attributes is a very low line, it's only 33. So I am always very careful when I'm doing all attributes because I believe that mana is quite a high line. So 33 is the highest here. Mana 44 is 42. So immediately I can't keep doing this strategy. I can't roll. So once I hit the mana line, I'm pretty much I did for mana regeneration. So put in a bit more investment. Unfortunately, we more or less break even, but that is pretty much the thought process of how I craft these rings. The key is really not to aim for something like this. And as you keep doing this process, you keep churning in 20 divines, 20 divines, 20 divines, you will eventually hit the seed where you get a tier 9, tier 8 roll, and it will then look something like this. I've crafted over 20 of such rings, either sold or given out for loans. If you are interested in getting some of these rings, borrowing from us for like 1 Exile as well, do check out our Discord. We have plenty more information. And if you appreciate this content as well, do like, comment, and subscribe for more such future content. Hope you appreciate it and hope you make some money too. See you guys in the next video.